The morning sun spilled over Willow Creek estates the same way it did every weekday. Warm, bright, almost aggressively peaceful. 15-year-old Sarah Walker walked down Sycamore Lane with her headphones in, letting the bass from her favorite playlist settle her nerves before another long day at Northwood High. She tugged at the strap of her backpack, adjusting it, and glanced around. The neighborhood was painfully perfect. Trimmed hedges, color-matched mailboxes, HOA inspection cards still taped on some doors. But today, something about the quiet felt wrong. She turned the corner when an engine growled behind her, slow, deliberate. She looked back. A spotless white SUV rolled beside the curb, gliding with practice control. No police markings, no official plates, nothing except tinted windows and an unsettling presence that prickled at the back of her neck. The SUV stopped. Two men stepped out. They wore dark tactical-style uniforms, stiff and cheap-looking, as if bought online by someone who wanted to look dangerous. Their patches read, WCCP, Willow Creek Community Patrol. Fake authority. Fake badges. Fake everything. Sarah pulled out her earbud. Her heartbeat didn't slow. The taller man, with a shaved head and forced swagger, tapped his chest patch. Morning, he drawled. Captain Rex Thorne, Willow Creek Patrol. His partner, Kyle Bishop, was broader, silent, with cold eyes that skipped right past her humanity and saw her as a target. You're dressed a bit improperly for Northwood High, Thorne continued, gesturing lazily at her jeans and band tee. And you were loitering. Sarah blinked, disbelief cutting through her fear. I'm literally walking to school. Thorne smiled like a man who enjoyed being contradicted. That's what they all say. Her father's voice whispered in her memory. Calm, steady, trained. Observe. Stay alert. Don't freeze. Sarah swallowed. You're not real police. I don't have to go anywhere with you. Bishop finally spoke, his voice gravel and threat. Oh, you're coming with us. Before Sarah could run, before she could even scream, Thorne lunged forward with startling speed. His hand clamped onto her arm, twisting it behind her. She gasped, pain shooting up her shoulder. Her backpack slipped off and hit the sidewalk with a thud, pencils spilling like fallen soldiers. Cold plastic pressed against her wrists. Zip ties. Tight. Too tight. A cry escaped her. This is illegal. Let go. Thorne's breath hit her ear. Cooperate and it won't get worse. Standard procedure. They dragged her toward the SUV. The bright morning, the manicured lawns, the HOA-approved flower beds, all of it blurred. Just before the door shut, Sarah's panicked gaze darted toward a house across the street where Mrs. Henderson's lace curtains trembled, then stilled. Someone saw, but no one stopped it. The door slammed, swallowing Sarah in darkness. Across Willow Creek, John Walker sat in his home office, typing lesson notes for the next training cycle. He'd spent nearly 2 decades in special forces, 12 of those as a Green Beret. Precision, discipline, clarity of mind. These were instincts, not choices. His phone buzzed. Northwood High attendance office. Mr. Walker? This is Carol. Just checking on Sarah. We noticed she isn't here today. John's pen stilled. That's impossible. She left at 7:30. She never arrived. His chest tightened. His mind sharpened. The world around him quieted into a tunnel of pure focus. The same icy stillness that used to settle over him moments before a mission turned critical. Thank you, he said quickly, already moving. He hung up, opened Sarah's phone locator app. Last location, the edge of Willow Creek Estates. Time, 7:58 a.m. Status, offline. Offline meant either dead battery or someone forced it. John grabbed his keys, locked the door, and was driving before the panic had a chance to form a single coherent thought. At the corner of Sycamore and Elm, the morning looked too perfect for the horror that occurred minutes earlier. But John saw it instantly, because men like him were trained to see disturbance in order. Sarah's backpack lay tilted near the curb. Not dropped, ripped off. A pen lace snapped. A notebook bent. The strap's fabric scraped as if pulled in a struggle. His jaw flexed. He crouched, eyes scanning. Faint shoe scuff marks. Not Sarah's size. 2 different treads. Heavy. Male. A long faint line in the dust, like a dragged foot. and, almost invisible, tiny fragments of plastic zip tie. His blood turned molten. Someone had taken his daughter, and they had no idea who they'd just crossed. John stood slowly, every muscle coiled with lethal purpose. He wasn't a panicked father. He wasn't helpless. He was the man who trained the men the world feared. He looked up at the neighborhood around him. Perfect lawns, quiet porches, closed doors, and one house, Mrs. Henderson's, where the curtain moved by a fraction. A witness, a lead. He exhaled, steady and controlled. "I'm coming, Sarah." And for the first time in Willow Creek's immaculate history, something truly dangerous entered the neighborhood. A father who'd spent his life preparing for war. John Walker stood perfectly still at the edge of sycamore and elm, the morning sunlight cutting across his face like a blade. The world around him buzzed with the routine of a peaceful suburb, dogs barking down the block, sprinklers ticking to life, a jogger's steady rhythm on pavement. But inside John, something ancient and lethal had awakened. He forced a slow breath in, controlled, grounded. Then he turned toward the house where he'd seen the curtain shift. Mrs. Henderson. He jogged across the street and knocked, firm, deliberate. For a moment, silence. Then the door cracked open just 2 inches, the chain still on, and a pair of frightened eyes peered out behind thick glasses. "John," she whispered. "Yes, ma'am. I need to speak to you." The door opened wider, not fully, but enough for him to see her trembling hands clutching the frame. I didn't know what to do," she stammered. "I saw a white car, 2 men, they took someone I think." "They took my daughter," John said softly. Her breath hitched. "Oh, dear God. Tell me everything. Every detail. Anything you noticed." She pressed a hand to her chest, as if steadying herself. "It was just after 8. I saw Sarah walking like she always does. Then that car pulled up, fast but smooth. Those men, they looked official at first, but something was off. They weren't real police, I could tell. The tall one grabbed her. She dropped her backpack. She fought. Oh, John, she fought hard, but they tied her hands. Zip ties. Then they shoved her in the back and drove off toward the north exit. Her eyes welled. I was too scared to shout. I'm sorry. You already helped more than you know," he said. And he meant it. "What direction?" "Be precise." "In North Wood Road, toward the old storage units." John's mind clicked through memories like flipping pages in a mental dossier. Old storage units. Abandoned HOA equipment sheds. Little traffic. No cameras. A perfect temporary drop spot. He thanked her, already stepping back. "John," she whispered, voice quivering. "Will she be okay?" He looked her in the eyes, and for a moment she saw the soldier beneath the calm exterior. "Yes," he said, "because I'm going to get her." As John drove north, his movements were mechanical perfection. No wasted motion, no panic. His mind ran like a tactical computer. 2 men. Fake uniforms. SUV, late model. Clean. Coordinated grab. Not random. Not impulsive. This was planned, which meant someone in Willow Creek was involved, or at least aware. And the HOA had long been known for its power-hungry board members and obsessive control. But kidnapping a minor? That was a leap few would dare cross, unless they believed their fake authority was untouchable. John tapped his steering wheel, thinking. He needed more data. He took a hard right into a strip mall parking lot and parked facing the main road. Then he pulled up a secured app, a tool most civilians never heard of. It wasn't illegal, but it wasn't accessible to the average person either. Vehicle trace by description. He input, white SUV, no front plate, possible altered rear plate, northbound at approximate 8 a.m. The app sifted through local traffic cameras within a 4-mile radius. It only took 12 seconds. One hit, a white SUV passing the Willow Creek North Gate, but the rear plate was covered by a magnetic flap. Deliberate concealment. John's knuckles tightened. They were professionals at pretending, not at executing. He started the engine and pulled onto Northwood Road. Inside the SUV, Sarah's world rattled with every bump in the road. She blinked against the darkness as her eyes slowly adjusted. Zip ties cut into her skin. The floor smelled of rubber and stale coffee. She could hear the 2 men arguing in the front. Thorne's voice was cocky, self-satisfied. "I told you she matched the profile. The HOA will thank us for this." They want troublemakers quiet. Should have moved faster, Bishop muttered. The girl nearly screamed. She didn't. So relax. Sarah inhaled sharply. HOA? They were doing this for the HOA? No, this wasn't just rule enforcement. This was something darker. Her father's teachings echoed in her mind like a lifeline thrown across a storm. Control your breathing. Slow your panic. Assess your environment. Look for your exit. She curled her fingers, feeling for edges, tools, anything. Nothing but smooth plastic. Then, her fingertips brushed something, a small metal bracket near the seat hinge. Sharp. Strong. She angled her wrists downward and began scraping at the zip tie. Tiny shreds peeled away. Not enough. Not yet. But she didn't stop. Because she wasn't powerless. She was her father's daughter. John reached the old storage complexes within 10 minutes. Dozens of metal units, most rusted, all quiet. Too quiet. He drove slowly through the aisles, scanning. No footprints. No tire de drag patterns. Whoever took Sarah hadn't stayed. He stepped out of the car, crouching to eye level with the concrete. There, barely visible, 2 crisp tire tracks at the far end. Deep enough to indicate a sudden turn. Fresh dust displacement. He followed them on foot. The tracks exited through a side opening in the fence. An exit only someone familiar with the area would know. John's jaw clenched. They were heading somewhere more hidden. He returned to his car and made another call, this time to a private contact. Walker, a gruff voice answered. Been a while. I need satellite edge view, 7-mile radius, north of Willow Creek. Priority. Trouble. It took my daughter. A pause. Then, sending feed in 60 seconds. John placed the phone on the dash mount. A live satellite grid overlay appeared. White SUV. Northbound. Last spotted near the industrial outskirts. Destination options. Old lumberyard. Drainage tunnels. Unfinished HOA parking project. Or the abandoned model home used by the HOA years ago for new buyers. John zoomed in slowly. The model home had a driveway wide enough for a large vehicle. The lot around it was isolated. Then he saw it. A white speck. Parked behind the house. His pulse didn't spike. It narrowed. He drove. Inside the model home, Sarah was dragged out of the SUV and shoved into a room that smelled of mildew and paint thinner. Sunlight filtered in through boarded-up windows. Thorne paced in front of her like a man playing cop for the thrill of it. You'll stay put until your father learns a little lesson about cooperation, he said with a sick grin. What lesson? Sarah demanded, voice trembling but steady. That the HOA runs this community. Not him. And not you brats who think rules don't apply. Sarah stared. This wasn't just power abuse. This was delusion. Thorne leaned in. Besides, we might get a bonus if this ends smoothly. From the doorway, Bishop spoke quietly. We should move her. Someone might have seen. Thorne waved a dismissive hand. Relax. No one's coming. Sarah almost smiled, because in that exact moment, a floorboard creaked outside. Bishop stiffened. Did you hear? Too late. The front door burst open as if ripped off its hinges. Both men turned. John Walker stepped inside. Not running. Not shouting. Just entering, like the room belonged to him. His voice was deadly calm. Let go of my daughter. Thorne sputtered. Hey, this is private property. John didn't wait. He moved with the fluid, devastating precision of a man who had spent a lifetime mastering violence. In 3 steps, he closed the distance. In one motion, he struck Bishop across the jaw, sending the large man crashing into the wall. Thorne reached for the baton on his belt. John caught it mid-draw, twisted his wrist, and flipped him onto the floor with a force that knocked the wind out of him. Bishop groaned, pushing himself to his knees. John's boot pinned him down. I gave you one warning, John said, voice low. The room went silent, except for Thorne's panicked breathing. Then Sarah's whisper. Dad. He turned, face softening for the first time. You're safe now. He cut her zip ties with a pocket blade and pulled her close, checking her quickly for injuries. Thorne tried to crawl backward. We were just enforcing. Say another word, John murmured, and you'll regret it. Sirens wailed in the distance, real police this time. Mrs. Henderson must have called again, or maybe the satellite contact pinged authorities. John didn't care which. All that mattered was Sarah standing beside him, shaken but alive. As police cars screeched to a stop outside, John tightened his arm protectively around her. "Dad," she whispered, "how did you find me?" He looked at her with the calm certainty of a man who would tear apart the world if it ever threatened his child again. "Because no one hides from me," he said quietly, "especially not criminals in fake uniforms." And as officers stormed the building, the truth settled across Willow Creek like a storm cloud. The HOA was no longer the most powerful force in the neighborhood. John Walker was.